It's been a rather calm 2021 so far from Audi here in India. But the next offering from the German car maker is planning and promising to make a loud bang. Yes, we're talking about the e-tron electric vehicle, the next big thing from Audi in the country. It is going to take on some very formidable rivals that launched in the past months, but on its own, it's making a whole long list of promises. I'm Shubhadeep Chakravarti, this is HT Auto, and today we're taking an in-depth look and the first drive of the Audi e-tron SUV. E-tron doesn't look very different from how Audi SUVs are generally styled and designed, and that's actually a good thing. The hood has a prominent form factor and is ornamented with matrix LED headlights which promise bright illumination minus glare for oncoming motorists. The DRLs are integrated, and it is the grey glazed grille here which actually reveals that this here is an Audi of a different kind. The alloy design too is different, rather funky, and the large body-colored wheel arches give the e-tron a bit of heft. The window line is large, but that's something you would expect from an Audi, unless of course it's a Q2. The rear gets LED pattern lights and they look absolutely hypnotic at night, and the back profile is completed with a silver skid plate at the bottom. And of course, no exhaust pipes. Step inside and the familiarity continues. In fact, Audi has done well to not go overboard to keep the e-tron as radically different from its other high-end SUVs. For reference, just look at the dash layout of the Q8 and that of the e-tron. What the EV does get are neat functionalities to help attain target per charge range. The display on the large central screen is gorgeous, and this can obviously be used for AV, nav and other functionalities as well. The haptic feedback is great too, but on the move can be a bit risky to operate. Thank God for the steering mounted controls that can also be used to control the large driver display. The gear shift lever will take a bit of getting used to, but there is a familiar feel about the driver-oriented central console stack. Materials used are top-notch for most parts, and the e-tron badge is the only major glitzy highlight in an otherwise clean profile. There is enough space for 4 passengers, with the seats offering enough cushioning and support. The large sunroof above seeks to improve the EV's connect with the outside world, and yes, you can pack in a week's worth of luggage in the boot. Packed and ready? Great, because Audi claims the e-tron can go up to 480 km per charge. With charging points neatly tucked on either side and ready at the press of a button, powering the e-tron through a 11 kWh wall unit will take around 8 hours. Faster, of course, with a higher capacity charging unit. And once topped up, the e-tron glides forward effortlessly. There is power for the taking, and while the e-tron doesn't feel as quick as the EQC and definitely not as quick as the iPace, it sure feels more sure-footed. Engage dynamic mode, and this EV is indeed an EV. Somehow the e-tron manages to feel like a typical ICE Audi, but that comes with the good and the bad. It is crisp around corners, steady at high speeds, precise on straight stretches, and noticeably heavy. It isn't nearly as much fun as an RS, but that's an unfair comparison anyway. On the flip side, there is also minimal steering feedback again, and braking power lacks a bit of bite. Regenerative braking, although, is done just right when left on its own. But even off the tarmac, the off-road mode helps this EV stay massively composed, which is great. The high ground clearance is fantastic, and the battery pack not scraping against the speed breakers is a relief. Of course, this here isn't meant for an adrenaline-seeking off-road escapades, but the e-tron is good for when the going may get tough. And when you're done, the 3D surround cameras are just so easy to help the e-tron dock in. Let's face it, expensive electric vehicles aren't going to bring about an electric revolution in India. And yet, this car right here is a bold step of intent from Audi. It checks most of the boxes, right? And we expect the price, much like the rivals it will come up against, to be north of rupees 1 crore. The e-tron SUV is hitting Indian roads on July 22nd. But for now, this is all that we have in this episode. This is me, Shubhadeep, signing off. Thank you so much for watching.